Should have used the Mac from.
But you see the way the media works.
Yeah, media.
They were trying to make it seem like Mercy's, and they're trying to make the whole public believe that Mercy's actually speaking the truth. And you being a public figure, going to defend yourself with everything you've got.
We decided, my lawyers told me, don't talk about it. Because why are you trying to
defend yourself? And the more you defend yourself, the more guilty you look.
You want to defend yourself to who?
Yeah, and they say nobody cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining.
You want to defend yourself.
That's where the media comes in.
Yeah. So since
even the people who are interviewing that girl, my lawyers are saying, but why are they just interviewing from Bowman side? What about from our side as well?
Yeah.
Because if she was saying, I stayed with her for 8 years.
That's what she said?
That's what she said. I stayed with her for 8 years. We had the house in Ndola, in Ndeke. I've never stayed in Ndeke.
Does she have photos with you and her together?
The what?
Does she have any photos
of you two guys together?
It can't happen.
So you live with someone for 8 years and you don't have a single photo?
I know, right?
No photos.
While you were swimming in some swimming pool in Ndeke or chilling somewhere,
nothing.
Nah, bullshit.
How do you pick the men in your life, like the people you date? What do you look for in a man?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's off.
It's very off, I know, but we can stop from there.
I kind of caught me off guard there because I thought you were gonna just go, in sequence like we planned, but of course.
Well, you're on a lunch date, so I think we can start from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, I look for a man that's honest and kind. But you see, honest is very
broad.
broad
term.
Very wide. But honest and kind, gentle, because I don't quite enjoy the roughness that comes with being macho like this. No, I like calm, gentle.
So in
really
short,
bright, intelligent.
You wouldn't date anybody from the copper belt, in other words. Because I think copper belt guys are known for being a little savage, upfront. But I'm from the copper belt as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very much. I only moved to Lusaka like 6 months ago.
Oh, yes, I saw your episode with Mutale. You said you have a history.
I grew up on the copper belt. Yes,
exactly. Right.
So how do I rank for a guy from the copper belt?
That is not 10 out of 10. Okay.
Would you say you have arrived? Is this a life you imagine? Like, when I make it, this is the life I'm going to be living. Would you say I've arrived now? Are you in the promised land?
No, I'm not.
So what does success look like to you? What does arriving look like to you?
I don't know. Hey, I feel like as human beings, we're probably never satisfied at any level. I can tell you probably even Elon Musk right now is like, I want more. Yeah. I don't think as human beings, we are 100% satisfied. I don't think I'm doing too bad for a 34-year-old. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah.
However, no, I have not arrived. I feel like I can do more. I actually feel like my career is at a plateau.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is definitely going to be a very special night because we are going to be having a brilliant conversation with one of the very best entrepreneurs, one of the legends coming through from the copper belt. We the copper belt people love to represent. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to be talking to Mr. Kalenga Chambatu, popularly known as Kplus. I'm sure you have already seen his work. And to all the people who come from the copper belt, right, especially Kuma Kitwoko, Kplus is a very well-known personality with regards to showbiz. Oh, by the way, I've got that. I actually have I've got the Jamaican sounds. I've got the Jamaican horns.
That is pure boasting because I know exactly what equipment you're using and mine is on the way.
Exactly.
Don't even say anything. That is a Rodecaster Pro.
Exactly, it is. But it doesn't really matter because the most important thing is we are having this conversation with you, and obviously you have done a lot of things over the years. I was telling you this before we started, right? When I was in high school, Kplus was really representing massively, and I really love the work that he has been doing over the past few years. He has created multiple companies, plus one media, and is it CHETE radio station as well?
You got that right, bro. That's
exactly. So we are going to be having a conversation with a bona fide entrepreneur, and I really believe, is it safe for me to say, started from the bottom, or maybe you guys are privileged? They're coming from privileged places. Did we start from the bottom?
Did I? You know what? My bottom is, I think I've been to the bottom, I'd say twice. Yeah. Okay. So, like growing up, our life was soft at some point, with dad being one of the bosses in the mines and all that. Right. And in 1998, he retires. And the usual story of the stories in the mines of how one day you're there, your parents retire, right. You're trying to get into business at the wrong time. I think business is something you need to get into when you're young. And so my dad retires at that point in 1998, and the graph falls steeply, quickly. Yeah. Right. So I mean,
with regards to your business. Yeah. With regards to your business, you obviously started, from the very bottom. You had to work your way up. Right. And, we have seen, obviously, your tremendous upgrade and everything that you have done. So, with my lousy introduction, I want you to introduce yourself because you are going to do a better job. So just introduce yourself for the viewers out there so that they can have an idea of the type of person we are having a conversation with. So you can boast.
Yes, like you said earlier, my name is Kalenga Chambatu. I'm happy you pronounced it correctly because I rarely get that. And I'm more known as Kplus, especially on the Copper Belt and the Soccer. Well, I'm getting all this. Where did you come from? You came from nowhere. I'm like, no, I've been in radio for like 15 years now.
The audacity.
No, I think I'll be humble enough to say I don't respond like that, saying the audacity to ask me where I'm from. No. Right. So basically, I've been in the media space for about 15, 16 years now. It's nothing new to me. So the podcast space is something that's new to me, but it's basically radio recorded with cameras on now. So yeah.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Correct.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. So let the people know the type of projects you have been involved with, and those amazing things that you have been doing, because it's very important for us to motivate the youths, and we have to let the people know that we do have Zambians who have been building things from the ground up, because this is something that we rarely sort of portray in Zambia. We are afraid to sort of give flowers to the people that have been doing it. So I just want us to be able to motivate other people out there, because there are people who really want to start something, but they are wondering, is it possible? Are there any other people who've been able to do this? So just give us a little bit of the projects that you've worked on, I mean, your businesses, and what you are currently doing at this particular moment, and how you started.
When it comes to the issue of starting, I think let me take you back to the first business I ever, embarked on, and that was like mid 2007. I started a company called Plus One Media, which is still in operation today. Basically, the company that's sort of running that Zed Podcast. So Plus One Media was started on the backdrop of me flanking in university. Basically, I was doing my degree, CBU degree, business administration, and it's not something I really wanted to study. You know what I mean? It's one of those where your parents feel you need to study something and go and study business administration. And went to school. I was rarely there. I was always at radio stations auditioning and doing things like that. And I flanked real bad. That was like in the first year. And I went back to CHETE, and it's one of those where you don't know what to do with your life now. I got into radio. Well, past an audition, got into radio. And while in radio, I figured, you know what? There's another passion I have, and that's DJing and, putting events together and things like that.
Right.
So this business now, I think this is the part that is of major interest to you, how this business started. I know a lot of people talk about, to start a business requires capital, you need money and whatever. Right. I think the most important thing that you need to start with is an idea. And for me, the idea to start, a media company, or should I say an events company, hit me, and I had no money. So I had to start thinking of how am I going to start this thing that I have a passion for? I have this idea. How am I going to start this business? And I think I've shared this story like once on my Facebook page, how this business started and how I started making money quickly.
Right.
I knew what I wanted to do, start supplying sound system, organizing events in CHETE and things like that. And I remember thinking, I don't have the money. How am I going to do this? And I figured one of the biggest clients I could have in this business is a company called MTN. Yes, the telecommunications company MTN. Because I had already seen them doing like road shows all around the Copper Belt and things like that. And I figured this is going to be my first client. It's going to be my major client. And I'm going after MTN with no money. And this is a time in my life where I'm totally broke. And I walk up to the MTN offices, something that very few of us have the courage to do. I walked up to MTN, asked to see the general manager, and I was told I couldn't see him without an appointment. And I kept going there almost every day. Persistence overcomes resistance. Until one day, I think he got tired of being told that I was at the door, and he allowed me in. That's Mr. John Muyawala. You can actually check that. He's the man from Uganda who was managing MTN at that point. So I get into his office, and I explained to him, look, to be honest, I lied. And I tell him, look, I do this roadshow business, and I think I can do it better than anyone in this country right now. If you give me an opportunity, I will prove to you that Plus One Media is a company that could be handling road shows for MTN like no other company has ever done before. And he looks at me. I think I was wearing very, worn out sneakers, and my story wasn't adding up. Like, how can such a young guy, talk about running big events, big, contracts with MTN when he's looking the way he is?
Right.
But my business has paid off. But even though he looked at me that way, I kept going back and just explaining my case until one day they got so irritated that they told it was Ken Kulishika then who was in charge of road shows and whatever, and the Critical Agricultural Show was starting like in a week's time from then. And so they call me up and say, you've been making noise about being able to handle road shows and things like that for MTN. We're testing you next week. Come through agriculture show 4 days. Send us a quotation. And I quickly typed out a quotation, sent it to them. They approved. And the following week, and by the way, I had no equipment, no company apart from what I had in terms of papers. That's the only company that was there, just the paperwork to say I had a company.
Right. No
team, no equipment, nothing. So they finally gave me the opportunity to have this road show, and I don't know if you know CHETE quite well. I dashed to Chihuahua, found a guy with sound system, found a team of dancers, MCs, whoever I needed for the whole project. And we went to the showgrounds, did the job diligently for MTN for 4 days straight. They were very impressed. They paid me all the money they owed. And the day I got paid, the guy I hired the sound system from, actually the deal was like 20 million kwacha then, before rebates, which is like 20,000 kwacha now, but it had more value back then. So the guy I hired the sound system from, I pay him the money that I owed him, and I think it was like a 5,000 kwacha for 4 days that he wanted. I pay him the money, and I ask him, dude, this sound system we're using at the showgrounds, are you selling anything like this? And he says, dude, I can sell you the whole set for the amount of money you have left in your hands. I'm like, are you serious? And he says, yeah, take everything for that 15 grand remaining in your hands. And I gave him the cash right there and then. I didn't even have transport to take the equipment home after that. And from there, I started having events after event after event, like marketing, heavily. I think anybody with CHETE would tell you that I actually dominated that space for years, event after event after event. But, you kind of get a bit reckless at some point. Started making so much money, got reckless, and I took that business down. But I think I'm a bit mature now, and I can now, run a business maturely and, straightforwardly. So I think that's the story you wanted to hear about the starting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people really think, first of all, they need to have like a lot of money at the beginning, and then they are going to easily succeed. So your situation, you have brilliant ideas, you've got a vision, and you've got the manpower, the will, and from there you're able to sort of let me use the word finesse. You're able to find a way to get the money. So to most of the youths out there, obviously there's capital issues and everybody's looking for money, but there are still ways that you can go about doing things and still get to the end goal, which is obviously coming up with the business and finding something that really works in the type of industry that you are trying to get into. So Kplus, looking back at these different years that have passed and all the mistakes that you have made, right? If you had to sort of rewind the hands of time, what things would you do better?
If I could take back the hands of time, there's so many mistakes I made, and I think if I didn't make them, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I don't think I would change anything. Of course, there are some things that, when you're going through them, you wish, or you sort of don't want to go through those things. But then I was listening to something quite interesting on Instagram today, where somebody was saying, I prayed to God for strength, and he gave me something heavy to lift. I prayed to God for courage, and he gave me fearful situations to go through. So a lot of times we go through these hardships to harden us. That's what we're able to handle, difficult situations in future. So everything I went through, everything I am right now is because of everything I've been through in the past. It's built me. It's hardened me. So I don't think I would change anything about the things I've been through, man.
Right. So you are obviously one of the people that have become very successful in the entertainment industry, showbiz, etc. And right now, we are having a lot of opportunities with regards to how we can be able to market ourselves, brand ourselves, for example, via social media. We have seen a lot of different media personalities, such as Mutale Mwanza, who is also, by the way, from the Copper Belt. And I'm sure you inspired Mutale Mwanza. You're Mutale Mwanza's OG. You are Mutale Mwanza's OG. So if you look at people like Mutale Mwanza, right? And you are obviously having a few years way ahead of her in terms of this actual business. And if you see what she has done, I think you are way bigger, and you've got way much more experience, and about kukopara mwarishu pafe, if I can put it that way. So how do people use, for example, social media to sort of do what you did, probably even faster?
First of all, man, Mutale is another level. That's my sister right there, my friend from like way back, and I wouldn't even want to compare myself to her. She's something else, man. Mutale is a genius. I can tell you that for a fact. And a lot of times people look at her content on social media and call her, I've heard so many bad words spoken about her, but I think there's a lot of genius in what she does, man. Like, to be honest. Anyway, when it comes to, and you can tell from her numbers on social media how much of a genius she is. She's I think amongst the celebrities in Zambia, she must have amongst individuals, I think she has the highest numbers.
Yeah, she does. She does. But do you think Zambia is ready for that type of strategy? Because I understand the strategy that she uses, and she uses obviously the sex appeal, controversy, etc. And our sort of conservative nation finds that a little bit odd, but it works for her, and she's obviously always succeeding. So we just have to learn from her and pick a few leaves from her.
I think she's understood the entertainment landscape. Let's just face the facts. As a country, we love controversy. We love, and I'm not calling Mutale mediocre, but I'm just saying on a whole, a lot of our entertainment industry, we love things that, I'll give an example of somebody does something really meaningful and they don't trend. Right. Somebody does something that, well, let's talk about maybe a sex tape. Crazy Wild Fine, that's all everybody's talking about, you know what I mean? But that's just the way things are. It's the reality of things, you know what I mean? Negativity sells more. Right. Like even the newspapers, the news agencies, they'll tell you bad news always makes for good news. for them anyway. So I think for the people who have understood the entertainment landscape in Zambia, they've used this to their advantage and they've made money off it. And we can't shun such people. We have to respect their hustle as well. You know what I mean? So coming back to your question of, what was your question again? How I use social media, or how youth can use social media?
Yeah. How can people use social media? Because, the phone is a very powerful thing and almost everybody is connected to the phone. So if you have an audience, you can obviously sell a product. Your products could be either, providing sound systems or providing a particular service, etc. So now that we have access to the internet and everybody is connected, right? I'm sure if we had to go way back in time and you had, if social media was mainstream back in the day, I'm sure you would have achieved more in a shorter period of time, because the networking back in the day was way harder,
Networking back in the day was office to office, man. Like, I was being asked the other day, I was telling somebody the kind of events that I did, even when I was living as far as Kitwe, Solwezi. I was telling them, that building, I actually handled the official opening of that building. Like, I'll give you an example of Builders Warehouse. I handled the official opening of every Builders Warehouse in Zambia.
That's Zed.
Some of the biggest malls, I ended up being like the entertainment guy. Talk about Manda Hill. I handled entertainment for Manda Hill for a long time. Cosmopolitan Mall, Kafubu Mall. Kafumu Mall in Ndola, Cosmopolitan here in Lusaka, Manda Hill, what else? East Park Mall. I've done jobs for a lot of these malls, and I'll get questions like, "But dude, you live in Solwezi. I was living in Solwezi and Kitwe then."
Right.
You know what I was like, dude? How do you handle so many events in Lusaka? You don't even live in Lusaka, and this is where that networking thing you mentioned comes in. Like, I would come to Lusaka and notice a lot of people not knocking on doors.
Right.
I would handle. And these are names I'm giving you that you can confirm even right now. You can call people in Absa Bank and they'll tell you that I used to come to Lusaka when they were Barclays Bank. Remember the Barclays Cup, which is now the Absa Cup?
Right.
I handled a lot of road shows for Absa, Barclays, Stanbic. Dude, so many big companies have come. And you see, it was a thing of knocking on doors because there was no Facebook. Well, there was Facebook. That was like 2000, but it wasn't that effective back then. Zambians hadn't yet bought into, social media that much back then, so you couldn't really use it to your advantage for marketing. So it was a thing of knocking on doors. So if you have the opportunity to have something like Facebook today, dude, you've got power in your palms with that cell phone right now. And well, I'm using it. Everybody should. Yeah. That's your networking right there in real time.
Exactly. And one of the biggest hurdles that people have is obviously, how do you get to monetize, and just how do you get to, when does the money keep on rolling, or when does it start rolling? So how do you get brand deals? How do you get to sort of get those amazing collaborations with these huge corporations? And how can you sort of monetize your content or whatever you're trying to do using social media? Because I by the way, we haven't even talked about the Zed podcast, because we are definitely going to go there. We have a lot of things to unpack. We have a lot of things to unpack, etc. So yes. So in terms of getting these brand deals, is it really an exclusive type of club where you have to be of a certain caliber in order for you to have access to these brand deals and get corporations from these huge companies?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think for me the most important thing is persistence. I've got a phrase, man, that I live by every day. Persistence overcomes resistance. Like, people can only say no to you for so long, but if you keep knocking on their doors, eventually you're gonna have to open that door, man. Like, you're gonna have to make noise until that door opens. Like, I'll give an example. When I'm sure you've lined up questions for my radio station issue a little later, but I'll give an example of when I was starting up the radio station. And when you're starting any business, you don't have clients like day one. But when we started, we had clients from day one. You know what I mean? because as the radio station was being set up, as the radio station was being set up, I knew, like, within 6 months the radio station would be starting. So I would be in Lusaka. Oh, the radio station is in Nakonde, by the way. I'd be in Lusaka like every 2 weeks, knocking on doors and telling them, look, this is going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Make as much noise as possible until a time comes where the station opens and we've got clients from like day one. So my point there being persistence, overcoming resistance. Like it's a question of knocking on doors until they can't ignore you anymore.
So right. And obviously having a very good reputation, because over the years you built a very solid reputation. They knew that if they had to deal with Kplus, they're going to get top-notch services. So when you transitioned, obviously, to owning your own radio station, and by the way, why did you choose Nakonde? Because a lot of people just think in order for you to succeed in Zambia, you only have to be either in Lusaka. Well, mostly Lusaka is a booming place, right? You have to be either on the Copper Belt or Lusaka or Northwestern Province. So why of all places Nakonde? Because that's a little bit it was very ambitious. It was very ambitious.
Nakonde is like 1,000 kilometers from 1,100 kilometers from Lusaka, yeah?
Right.
Do you know which other place is 1,100 kilometers from Lusaka? No. South Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah. A drive from Lusaka to Beitbridge is like Lusaka to Nakonde, and you're just within Zambia. God's honest truth. Check that out. Check that out right now. 1,100 kilometers. Yeah. So I get that question all the time. Like, dude, why Nakonde? Like, where there are no other places? I'll give you a breakdown of how the radio industry works. Yeah.
Right.
The radio industry is one in which you don't just set up like, I've got a box of shoes and sorry, the TV just went on its own. Sorry, let me just turn that off. Yeah. So they advertise. Like in the past, it used to be like every year they would advertise, available frequencies and the locations. And in the year that I was applying for a radio license, I think there were 3 options that seemed attractive to me. There was Lusaka. They were giving away 1 license that year. Then there was Chipata. There was, I think, Serenge and Nakonde. So I started weighing the options. For me, Lusaka was already out. Do you know that there are about 64 radio stations in Lusaka right now? How many of them do you know?
Just a handful, like 5 max.
My point exactly. There are about 64 radio stations in Lusaka right now. Chipata has 3 radio stations right now. Nakonde had 0. So I'd rather quickly go into a market where I would dominate quickly than start, fighting with other people. And it's always the best, I think it's always the best situation to be in when it comes to business, to be the first in a town.
Eliminate competition. Exactly.
Well, we had no competition to eliminate. We were the first, the first radio station ever to set up in Nakonde. And even for advertisers, we had people like, Zanako coming to us like day one saying, look, we've needed to advertise on Nakonde for the longest time. There's never been a radio station. We're coming with you day one. And day one, they did.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So that's a very profound point. Instead of trying to do what everybody is doing, right? Since you are an entrepreneur, and one of the characteristics that people with this entrepreneurial drive have is finding opportunities, making things work, trying to shorten the path to success. And you obviously going to Nakonde was a very, very huge business move that really gave you an advantage, because you were basically the big guys from the get-go. So it was just hitting the road running from day one. So that's a very profound point. And you talked about the licenses, and why is it so hard to get a radio broadcasting license, and why is it so difficult to do?
Well, to start with, radio is a very, sensitive industry, and you just don't want to dish out licenses, especially to people you don't know, which is why in many cases we've seen the process quite protracted in how you get the license. First, like I said, radio is a very sensitive medium of communication. Like right now, if I'm live on radio,
right,
and what time is this? Whatever time we're recording this, and if I tell people this is now, like I give you a time maybe an hour behind, and I'm live on radio, a lot of people are gonna adjust because of the truth that people find in radio presenters. You know what I mean? That shows you the power of radio. Just by me giving you a wrong time, everyone's gonna start adjusting their clocks. So given that backdrop, with the influence that radio has, you have to be careful who you give your license to. You don't want to give your license to, a foreign government who just might come and influence your people the wrong way, or, somebody who will be, disseminating information that's, how do I do? I'm looking for a word right now, but it escapes me. You can easily influence people. You don't want to give your license to somebody who's going to
be reckless and just be unprofessional, etc.
Yeah, true. So, like, I'll give an example. We started applying when? 2017?
Right.
And we only got a license like a year and a half because they have to investigate me. You know what I mean? They're going to investigate me to the point where, and this is like on the application form. Who are your parents? Your mom and dad.
Really?
Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
Okay.
Your parents' names, their parents' names, and your parents' detailed CVs. And I'm doing this at a point where my dad died, like what? 5 years before that. I have to find out every tiny detail about my dad, every tiny detail about my mom, submit those, because those documents are going to go to State House, and somebody from there is going to start investigating my whole background. I was getting calls from, where a grade 2 teacher calls you and says, dude, somebody just left. They were asking about you here. Next thing, you're getting a call from your geography teacher in high school, and they'll tell you, somebody just left. Next thing, my mom is telling me she's getting calls from people in her village saying somebody just left asking about her.
Wow. I didn't really know it's really that deep. I didn't know. I had no idea.
It's over a year. They're investigating you thoroughly to make sure they're not giving a license to a criminal, or somebody with a past that's questionable. Yeah. So it's quite thorough. So you may ask, why is this so difficult to get a license? Well, that's a major reason. You don't want to give a license just anyone who's going to be reckless, because you can influence. Radio has the power to even, like, you can topple governments with radio. Like, if Radio Owners Unified, you can topple governments. But I'm not saying we're going to do that or we do that. No. I'm just showing you the power of radio. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Radio is that powerful. So governments are really careful who they give licenses to. Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's very attractive. Very difficult. Yeah.
And a lot of people might be wondering, because that was a very ambitious move, and obviously setting up something like a radio station would obviously involve a lot of funding, and you need to raise that money. So the funding is obviously something that will be a challenge to most people who would love to venture into that. But prior to you setting up your own radio station, how were you able to finesse and just be able to achieve this huge milestone? And we just need that motivation, because a lot of people watching, they might want to do a particular business in whatever industry, but they're just looking at the huge barrier of entry and how they would end up getting the business idea funded. So for your journey, how did you end up to funding a very huge business such as a radio station?
Do you have time?
We do. The summarized version.
Wow, how do I even summarize the story, man? Like I told you, you get to hear about radio licenses being advertised, you apply, and it's like the brokest time of my life. This is where, sometimes I want to share certain principles that I use to bring certain things into my life, but a lot of people will say those are very American principles, and they can't work for us. Like, I've tried sharing certain things, and people tell me, that's nonsense. But I'll tell you one thing.
Practical.
To a lot of Zambians, the law of attraction is not practical. So I'll try to simplify it with something that we follow easily. Let me connect it to religion because, well, we are a Christian nation and we listen to pastors a lot. So let me speak like a pastor for a little bit. The law of attraction is basically a principle, I think, not I think, definitely comes from the Bible. It's about, speaking the things that you want to see come into existence. So even when I did not have a way at that point, like my life got so rough at some point to a level where at this point I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a 1.5-year-old child. My wife is pregnant again.
Mm-hmm.
And things just got rough. This is like 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Things got so rough to a point where at that point, business, I just wasn't getting any more business deals. I was not in employment anymore. I couldn't even afford a loaf of bread to feed my family. I couldn't afford rent. And I had to move my family. Things got rough. I called mom and I'm like, Mom, the rent is due next week and I can't pay. What should I do? And mom says, you know what? Swallow your pride and just move the family here. We've got space. And we moved to my mom's house. And my mom's house is 2 bedrooms, which were both occupied. So now we have to make space in the dining room. We'll put a bed in the dining room and all our furniture in this dining room space. So my wife, our child, and she's pregnant then. We made do with mom's dining room. And that's why we started, we spent, I think, about a year in mom's dining room while this was happening. So you can imagine being that broke. And how did the money come up? Well, in that period of hitting rock bottom, totally broke, I just had faith and I would, affirm that regardless of what I'm going through right now, the money I need is coming my way. You know what I mean? The money I need is coming my way because I am a money magnet and money comes to me easily, frequently, and abundantly. I know God, and God is a supplier with infinite, resources. And I would be affirming these things every day. And one day, you've applied for this radio license out of faith with no money whatsoever. And you know the way the industry works. There are people waiting to grab that license from you at every opportunity they have. And the industry is just shaped that way. So even while the application process is going through, they'll send you a letter saying of all the applicants, you've won. You're the person getting the license. But this station has to be set up within 90 days. That's the condition the license comes with when you apply. Okay?
Right.
You have to set up the radio station within 90 days or,
it gets revoked.
Yeah, just like that. So in that 90 days, dude, 30 days go, 60 days left. Now there's 30 days left. And I'm thinking, good Lord, are my prayers falling on deaf ears? 30 days to the deadline, a call comes from Barclays Bank then. A very sweet voice on the phone. Hi, how are you doing? Long time. Oh, wow. Okay, long time. She asked, dude, you did a job for Barclays Bank like 6-7 years ago. Do you still do that business? And I say, yeah. Okay. Where are you? I was like, I'm in Kitwe. Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember the job you did for us. You were in Kitwe then. Are you able to come to Lusaka tomorrow? Okay, so we can discuss this business and see where things can lead. I was like, yeah, I'll definitely be there. What time do you want me? They say, okay, if you can be by Barclays Bank head office by about 11:30, that'll be good. Dude, I'm just saying yes, and I've got not even a kwacha in my account to take me to Lusaka. Cut the line. In my mind, I'm thinking, first of all, wait, how many events companies are in Lusaka that they could have called? Why are they calling me from Kitwe to come to Lusaka to handle something for the whole of Barclays Bank, Zambia?
Because of your reputation.
You know what I mean? So, dude, I start running around now like a headless chicken trying to find transport money to get me to Lusaka. Made a few calls. And one of the calls I made was to Anthony Nkwazi. I'm sure you know Anthony Nkwazi from Kitwe. Power Tools. Yeah, Power Tools. Yeah. It's like the son to the owner of Power Tools. I'm sure you know Anthony Nkwazi. Or people watching this do know Anthony Nkwazi. Yeah. So I give him a buzz. I'm like, bro, things are tough. Things are wild, but I need to get to Lusaka tomorrow. And he says, guy, you're my guy. go to the bus station tomorrow, get on a bus, do what you have to do. If you need to come back on the same arrangement, just go to the bus station, tell them I sent you. Came to Lusaka, had the meeting with Barclays. And in the meeting, they give me the job description and I said I can do this with no issues. I didn't have the resources. I didn't even have the resources to do that job, bro. Like, completely. But they gave me the contract and they tell me, look, you sound knowledgeable and like you can do this. And as I'm walking out, in my head, I'm thinking, and they asked me for a quotation. So as I'm walking out, I'm thinking, how the hell? Or how much am I gonna put in that quotation? I have no idea. Like, I don't want to be too high. Let's start lose the contract. So I asked one of the ladies, like in the corridor, saying, look, I've got this problem. Like, I don't know what to charge you guys. And she says, what problems do you have? Put that number on the quotation. And I immediately thought, radio station job. I need this amount. And I put it on the quotation and I handed it over to them. And they're like, God, okay. Are you able to start this job tomorrow? I said, I can work the contract even right now. Dude. The following day, the money was in the account, enough money to do the job and enough money to open the radio station. And I can safely say affirmations work, faith works. If you've read the book, The Secret, or if you've never heard of the book, The Secret, find it tomorrow, read it. That book, I think, next to the Bible, I think it's the most powerful book because it teaches you about the law of attraction. And everything you have in your life right now, Manalala, you've attracted because of what you felt, what you thought, and what you've spoken in your life. And it's what's happening in my life today as well. And that's how the money came and the radio station started.
Exactly. And this is one of the reasons why people like you need to put your stories out there. Not boasting. No, we need people like you to motivate others going through the same thing. And you really brought up a very interesting fact, because you said in 2017 you hit rock bottom and you just kept the enthusiasm and the spirits were still very high. And this is one of those milestones that every business savvy person hits. At one particular point, you're going to get back to almost zero or even below zero, but you obviously have to pick your way up and find a way to keep it moving and just maneuver and figure out how else you can be able to survive and resuscitate yourself. So with regards to mental resilience, let's talk about the mental aspect of being an entrepreneur, especially when you sort of go bankrupt, you lose everything, you've got a family, and you feel like you're a disappointment. How do you sort of get to convince yourself from a mental perspective, from an emotional perspective, that look, you have this and you can do it? How hard was it for you?
That's why I say entrepreneurs are not normal people, because you have to keep believing even when everything seems like, you've hit a brick wall. And a lot of times in business, it does feel like you've hit a brick wall, but it's about seeing things that others can't see. And you need to have a strong belief in what you're doing. And almost 100% of the time, you're the only person seeing what you're doing. A lot of times people will tell you, now I shall wait, just find a job or, go back to school and, study this and just get a safe, secure job. And, from the books I've read when it comes to entrepreneurs, like even people like Phil Knight, Phil Knight, the founder of Nike.
Mm-hmm.
He went through that a whole lot when he started selling, Nike, when he started Nike. And you have to be able to see things that others are not, and you have to keep believing that what you're seeing, will come to fruition one day, and what you're seeing is actually true. Like, it's a vision. And I always believe these visions just don't come from nowhere. They come from a place that has the answers to a lot of questions that you will have. And I think the way it works, if you keep believing that you're going to achieve what you want, somehow ways are just made, despite the difficulties you may face. A way is always found somehow if you just keep believing. It's about tenacity, resilience, faith. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people have got this misconception that you always need to have the highest qualifications. You always need to have degrees, PhDs, masters, etc. Do you think that is really necessary in this particular era, especially with regards to the abundance of social media and how easy it is to get a buzz for yourself. And I'm saying this because there might be people out there who might be thinking, look, maybe I need first of all to figure out the education thing before I venture into entrepreneurship. So do you think if you have the willpower, you can still find a way regardless?
I think it's all about willpower. Like, I'll give an example of myself. Yeah, at some point, not that I'm proud of it, but at the end of the day, you need to know what you want in life. And I don't advise people to follow the route that I took. I don't have any qualifications in my life. None whatsoever.
Well, let me just clarify that. You do have qualifications, but maybe not necessarily on a paper. You've got experience. You've got your network. You've got your character. Those are solid qualifications that a lot of people with these, fancy master's degrees.
Let me rephrase then. I don't have any academic qualifications.
Right.
That's better, right? Yeah. So, and I think a lot of times, like when people hear that about me, they sort of, a lot of times people, like especially in Zambia, you're almost deemed dull if you don't have a degree or a diploma. People look at you funny. But let's not mistake, especially the root of the word education. Education is a word derived from the Latin word, what? Educo, which means enlightenment, right? So basically, if you're enlightened in some way, you're educated, right? But I think in this country, we see education as I need to have a degree to be thought of as educated. Don't make the mistake now of thinking that I'm not educated. I am. I read a lot and I know a lot about business, man. Like, I think if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to manage the businesses that I do today. But in this country, we always feel you need to have that degree. And I feel like, I mean, let's even look at the number of people that I can mention from the top of my head who don't even have any high school education. Talk about Richard Branson and how he dropped out. Is it what, grade 8, grade 9?
Right.
And look at where he is today. Look at how big Virgin is. So I think in this life, use what works for you. If you feel or you need to do school, man. It's quicker. I still feel it's quicker to succeed when you do school, when you combine it to school.
You think? I would beg to differ.
I think so.
Because a degree takes 5 years. You're wasting 5 years. Somebody who's doing an actual business in 5 years can actually turn the whole world around. You know?
Like I said, like my first business, I feel if I had some level of education then, it would have grown to, bigger, they're grown to greater heights. But still, that doesn't take away the fact that, a lot of business people in America will tell you, or even here in this country, most of what you need for business is to know how to read, write, and count. which is basically what you do up to about grade 5. You've learned all that by grade 5. So, yeah.
Definitely.
It does help. You have a paper, like, a degree and stuff. It does help.
Right. And I can see some comments rolling through because we have some viewers joining us. So to all the people watching us, we are having an amazing conversation with Kplus. Kplus is one of the media and showbiz gurus in Zambia. This man is able to flip very, little money into a whole lot. He's always morphing himself into something big and bigger. So to all the people watching us, kindly share this video because we are having an amazing conversation with him and we are going to be learning from him because he has the actual experience of being an entrepreneur, especially in Zambia and of all the industries, the media industry, which is a very tough industry to break through. So keep on sharing those, keep on liking and sharing this video everywhere because these are the types of conversations that we need to have. So anyhow, we have people like Francis Tikashi saying he would love to know about your podcast. So obviously we did talk about this a little bit earlier. You said that a podcast is similar to radio. Now we've got video podcasts as well. So are you trying to rebrand yourself? What type of moves are we or should we be expecting from you in the next 5 years? Because the way that you move, you're transitioning right now. I mean, the podcast thing is just an added advantage. What's your vision for your brand for the next 5 years? Why did you just decide to switch to video podcasting?
I really feel the way we consume content is moving fast to the internet. It's we're gonna be consuming more of. You can quote me in 5 years. I think podcasting is gonna be probably one of the most consumed medium in terms of, well, if we're going to sway away from radio and TV, I think podcast, well, from radio especially, let me focus on radio, which I understand and I know. We've become an on-demand generation. We want things when we want them now. Let's give an example of Netflix. Netflix is a good example of on-demand TV. What you want to watch is there, you watch it there and then. You don't have to wait for 19 hours for Channel X to show, something that you want to watch. So on-demand TV, on-demand radio is the future. And basically podcasting is on demand. You don't have to wait for a radio station to broadcast that show that you love at 19 hours when you can find it on Spotify right now and listen to it. You know what I mean? And right. I think the world is going to move a whole lot more to that in the next 5 years. And I would want to be one of the first people that, make that move in this country. So here we are today with that Zed Podcast.
Right. So I really think this is already happening in the rest of the world. I mean, if you talk about developed nations, podcasts are huge. We see a lot of, for example, American celebrities coming up with their own podcast. We've got the Joe Biden podcast. We've got, all these amazing shows. So when it comes to Zambia and Africa, basically, it takes a little bit of time for us to get some sort of innovation or move in a particular direction. And this is where entrepreneurs can actually get to make a name and just have an advantage. You can always reciprocate what is happening out there and bring it to Zambia. You'll be massive. You'll be huge. Everybody's going to be, clapping hands. What's your take on that?
Well, at the end of the day, there's no original idea. We all copy ideas from somewhere. That's just the honest truth.
Right.
Tell me an idea and I would probably remember or tell you someplace that they could have possibly got it from as well. So podcasting, of course, we're getting that from radio, but then we're listening to recorded radio. Everybody, like you mentioned, I can't think of a celebrity right now who doesn't have a podcast in America. I was listening to Kevin Hart the other day. He's got a podcast. Right. People can hardly talk. Major Lisp, Mike Tyson has a podcast.
And it's very successful, actually.
Dude, have you seen the numbers on, what is he calling it again? Hot boxing.
Yeah, hot boxing.
He's got every big name fighting to be on his podcast, but he's also on other podcasts. We're also on other podcasts. Everybody's got a podcast. And eventually in Zambia, we're going to reach that level as well because everybody's going to have something that they want to bring out on a podcast. I mean, for me and Elson, my co-host, we want to talk to the movers and shakers in the industry. Somebody's going to want to start a business podcast. Another person's going to start, a podcast about dealing with feminism and issues like that. You know what I mean? Eventually, there's going to be a podcast in Zambia for everything. And I think it's a good place to be right now where we are. We're moving. And even when we started that Zed Podcast, we didn't think, there are a few members of the team watching right now, and they'll agree with me. Like, we didn't think we would be where we are today. Like, people actually watching this. And we go to Apple in December, last week of December. We were the most listened to podcasts in Africa. We're like, what?
Wow, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like,
this also comes back to the no competition theory of yours in Nakonde. It's basically the same thing on another level.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, like I called a friend in South Africa, like, dude, I think because it was on the Mac. Like I was looking for a podcast to listen to. I was out of town. I was in Chinsali. Oh, setting up another radio station in Chinsali should be opening in 2 weeks' time. Yeah,
this deserves that. Oh man, you're doing the most. You are doing the most.
So CHETE FM is officially the biggest radio station in Muchinga province. Another. Thank you.
I got you.
So I was in Chinsali, looking for a podcast to listen to, and I go on my Mac, and I go to Apple, and I look for, I don't know what I want to listen to, and I click on top podcasts this week, and we're at the top. I'm thinking, okay, wrong algorithm. Let me call someone, and I call a friend in South Africa, and he tells me, dude, no, what you're saying is true. You guys are number one in Africa right now. I'm like, what? Who's listening to us? So how it can show you statistics.
Yeah, the demographics, your audience,
demographics, analytics. And right. we have a lot of people listening to us in America, Namibia, South Africa. We have people in Saudi Arabia and Australia, and I'm like, okay, interesting. This is what we started this thing for people around the world to be able to listen to things happening in the country. So yeah, the podcast space is going to grow. In the next 5 years, we'll be consuming more podcasts and radio. That's a fact. You can quote me in 2027. That's a fact.
Definitely. And I guess you are one of the, the first people that are able to use the word podcast. Because a lot of, different blogs, they're essentially sort of some podcasts to some extent. But you guys just officially branded yourselves as that Zed Podcast, and you officially put that stamp of approval as the official podcast of Zambia, which is very good. And this also gives another monetization avenue. So when it comes to finding opportunities, there's always a way, and there are multiple ways to get money and just basically tap into different markets and industries and niches that can really help you set everything, and help you set yourself apart and be able to get monetized and get that particular dollar from those industries, So how can people do this as well? Using different niches. Let's say, for example, there's somebody who loves makeup. How can they start something which is similar and also be able to earn a living from it?
Like even sponsors are starting to open up more to the idea of podcasting. I was very, very intrigued by one of the biggest companies calling on Friday and saying, wow, this podcast thing looks really good. Please send us a proposal on Monday, like tomorrow. I kid you not. One of the biggest companies in the country called saying that. And to me, it sort of made me realize that we're sort of on the right trajectory in terms of hitting the right mark, and something that is gonna be a big thing. Like I said, podcasting is gonna be a really big thing in this country sometime soon. So you brought in the issue of sponsors as well. Like sponsors are starting to see that podcasting is actually working in this country. So for somebody who's in a space like, makeup, a vlog is a good idea, especially for somebody in marketing. A video blog, which you can also package as a podcast later on.
Right.
Yeah, if we can even talk about video blogging, I've seen one or two people posting their vlogs on Instagram and stuff. That's another space that's going to be big. So how you can monetize, especially for somebody who's like in a makeup space, you can have all these short video clips where you're doing your makeup and thingy, and start reaching out, sending proposals to manufacturers of all these makeup, these cosmetics that you're using, and who knows where that leads. One of them is going to pick it up. When they start seeing your numbers growing, they're definitely going to pick it up. Like our numbers are growing now. We started getting more interesting calls. Like, dude, 10,000 subscribers. Hey, no podcast in Zambia has grown that big. I mean, our podcast is on like a month and a half old. 10,000 organic subscribers. Yo.
Yes, that's a huge difference. Oh, yeah. I'm a little bit delayed, but, people get the point.
Yeah.
Right. So getting back to what you guys are doing, now that you are opening up the industry and it's going to become very common, because obviously we've been doing this video blogging for a very long period of time. And for us, it has been a little bit of a challenge because people don't really get it. You understand? People don't really see the value of how, let's say, a certain company can be able to utilize a particular platform, spread their message and put it out there, and basically just advertising using such particular platforms. But for you guys, now that you're becoming very popular and you're setting the standard and showing those different companies that it is possible, you're really going to make it easy for the incoming would-be podcasters. So what you are doing, I'm sure you don't really have an idea about this, but you're standardizing everything. You're making it very common and very natural. So the people who are going to be doing podcasts later, it's going to be very easy for them to get brand deals, sponsorships, because they saw it happen on that Zed podcast. So I just want to genuinely say thank you for doing this, because it has been hard, for some of us, because we've been thinking, how are we going to penetrate and how are we going to show the people that there's value in advertising and using these particular platforms? So you are making it standard. So thank you.
I'll tell you one thing, my business philosophy, and I've had this philosophy for the longest time. Like, I think your brother told you this, that I was station manager at Beats FM in Solwezi. And from the time I started handling, more managerial, more leadership roles, my philosophy became one thing. I don't like to get into a business to compete. I like to get into a business to dominate. That's just my business. That's just my business philosophy. I like to get into a business to dominate. So even when getting into this, I mean, I can't say we were the first. There were already other players, but of course we not necessarily studied them. I hate studying competition, because when you follow competition too closely, you end up sounding like or looking like the competition. You know what I mean? So for me, I just looked at who was doing something similar to what we're doing. And I said, guys, we're going in big. We're going in hard. We're going to brand ourselves a certain way. We're going to hit social media running. We're going to hit the ground running. And we're going to do this in a different way from everybody else. There's a book you need to read. Blue Ocean Strategy. Find that book. Teaches, hey dude, find that book by W. Chan Kim. Find that book, Blue Ocean Strategy. Teaches you how to enter a market and quickly dominate. It gave you examples of the Coca-Colas, the Colgates of this world, Apple, and how they quickly went into markets and dominated. And that book, it's a business Bible. Read it. So that's our business philosophy. We came in and want to dominate the podcast space in Zambia. And if we're opening, opportunities for others, even better. The bigger an industry is, the more we attract in terms of, like you said, sponsorship. So if more people could open podcasts, start podcasts, and meaningful podcasts, the better for all of us.
Exactly. And obviously, podcasting and doing what you do is just some sort of way to get monetized. And this is one thing that a lot of people don't really understand about making money. It's about providing a service. So when people essentially have some interesting podcasts, right, what they are selling is the audience and the fact that they are able to draw an audience, which they are able to monetize it and get the brand deals. So essentially, obviously, when you're planning your topics, your guests, you think which people are going to give us the most interesting conversations? Where are we going to get the biggest buzz? So for you, and to a common person, they'll be like, what are these guys doing? Why are they always talking? But you as a hustler, you as an entrepreneur, your service, and you also know your target people who are going to be able to get the money from. You understand? So you're able to connect the service and the audience, sell the audience to the people who are obviously going to be sponsoring your deals. So, but not everybody has got, your gift. Not everybody has got your talent. So how else would people be able to monetize whatever gift they have or whatever talent they have? Okay, let's say, for example, you're not gifted in this particular way. If you weren't privileged enough to have been in this industry, how else would you have made money?
Sorry, when you say this industry, which one?
Well, I mean the entertainment industry. Well, no, I mean the whole showbiz, entertainment industry. Sounds basically the whole showbiz.
How else? It's part of the reason why I don't have any academic qualification, because I've got so much confidence in the skills that I have. I've made big money before from my DJing. I've made big money before from my presenting. So one of the two, which are still, at the end of the day, I always believe we're all born with a gift that's supposed to make us money in our lives.
Right.
And I really hope my cousin is watching, because I'm going to attack her right now. I've got a cousin who is the most skilled person when it comes to making curtains, or just, designing and putting material together and making clothes. But she's really brilliant in designing curtains. And, well, there's not much to do in terms of designing curtains, but she knows how to put curtains together, colors and all that. She just doesn't want to make money off it. I keep telling her, look, you've got a skill. She works. She's in employment right now. And a few months ago, I was breaking it down to her, like, okay, let's do some mathematics here. How much do you charge for a set of curtains? She says, okay, a set of curtains that's like this, material, blah, 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 is 2,000 kwacha. So I said, if I found you 5 customers this month, you would have made it 10,000 kwacha. If I found you 10 customers, you would have made if I found you 5 customers, you'd have made it 10 grand, yeah. If I found you 10, you'd have made it 20. How much are you making where you're working? And she gives me the figure, and it's nothing close to what she would make if she went into a business. So a lot of times what we don't have is the confidence to get into. We don't have the confidence in the skills and talents that God has given us. I am one person. The day I discovered that I could present, I could DJ, dude, my world changed. It's like God says, I am so proud of you, son. And here's an opportunity. See what you can do with it. You're a radio presenter. You love radio. Here's an opportunity. Start a radio station. I'll bless it. Oh, yeah, DJ. Dude, I've DJed all over Zambia. I've DJed in Southern Africa. I've got bookings as far. I've DJed as far as Australia.
Right.
You need some photos to put up on Zed Corner right now to prove what I'm saying. You see what I mean?
A little bit later.
Yeah, you see what I mean? But my talent has taken me around the world. I've flown across oceans because of my talent. You know what I mean? So if more of us could be courageous enough, we're all born with a skill. So your question, what would I be doing if I wasn't using my talents?
Right.
I'd probably be dead, because all I have to survive right now is my talent, man. And nobody can take that away from me. I can DJ, I can present on radio. Oh, and I didn't know I could do TV and can now present on TV. So
definitely. And you gave a very interesting example with regards to your cousin. And by the way, Sophie Mwamba says, kindly give us your cousin's number. So yeah.
No, but Sophie, that's so true. I'm reading your comment on the screen right now. And if you need curtains, and you need curtains made in a way that no other human has ever made them before, yeah, I'll give you my cousin's number. 0966.
Yeah, you can do it. No problem. You can do it.
She'd be upset if I made her number public. But I'm trying to get her to resign by the end of this year so she can get into that business full time. And a lot of us have that skill. Skill we can make money from, but we don't have confidence.
Definitely.
We'd rather be in jobs. Yeah, so
definitely. So do you think well, you gave us the example of your cousin. Do you think entrepreneurs are born? Because even though you have tried to paint this picture to your cousin, she just maybe at this particular moment, at this particular time, she just doesn't see it. So maybe this is one of the reasons why people who are able to do something, they've got a way of seeing things and understanding that it is possible. So how do we get to teach others to be able to reconstruct and construct and build things in their minds, and then have the power to sort of bring it into fruition? How do we teach that skill of thinking and executing and dreaming and all that good stuff?
Dude, was I the one who pressed something? Who's this now?
Sorry? Sorry?
I'm seeing somebody else on the screen here.
Oh yeah, some people are joining. We needed to have some more energy here. Joanne Muviana is joining us, so I'm sure she's got some good questions for you and some good contributions as well.
All right, sure. I was talking about how every human being is born with a gift, but 95% of the time we underestimate that gift, and we think, Or we start thinking, Balam buena mo if I start this thing. Or you think, no, this can't really take me anywhere. Try God. Try see where that thing will take you, man. Like, just try.
Ask Mutale Mwanza.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We all have gifts, man. Like, we all have gifts. And I like when I see people like Kandayatu, the guy makes suits and is making money.
Right.
Snoko, he's a designer. I mean, these are jobs that ordinarily in Zambia shouldn't be making you money. But these are guys who come with confidence. They brand themselves in a way that makes them money. Because basically what they're doing is what tailors have been doing for years, but have not branded themselves well enough to sell. You know what I mean? Dude, you can sell Chikanda. If it's branded properly, you can make a whole lot of money out of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing that you need, let's say, for example, you've got an amazing service. You need to market it, because if people do not know about your idea, your services, nobody's going to be able to buy. And this is where social media and branding yourself comes in. It makes everything super easy. So you can brand anything that you're good at. You could be an engineer. You make very good whatever architecture drawings. You can brand that and market yourself. You'd be the best guy who's going to be able to like design
right
things.
now. You're preaching, man. You're preaching. Yeah,
you understand. So plenty of opportunities. But anyway, let me give Joanne Muviana, Joanne Kibanziwani, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you can interact with Kplus. I'm sure you've got a lot of contributions, and go on.
Yes.
Hard question.
I'm loving the Zed podcast. I think I've watched every single episode. It's such a great initiative. Well done to you, Kplus, for such an awesome platform. I think you've literally just changed the game. I just wanted to find out from you, when did you decide that you needed a co-host? Because I think there's quite a few people who are like, no, he can actually do this on his own. When did you decide to say, I actually need someone to co-host with me? And what's the future looking like for the Zed podcast? Because I can see it. I mean, it's a month old, but already I think it's really just doing great things. So where do you see yourself going in the future? Thank you.
Right. So let's start with the co-host. That's interesting, though. Firstly, I know a lot of people think I've known Nelson for the longest time. I've known Nelson for a month, and we clicked from the day we met. And it's a guy who came in with a lot of passion for podcasting, and I thought we could work well together. And I think we do. If you watch episodes prior to Elson coming in and how I decided that he should join in, I sort of started feeling like I only had, one, how do I put it?
Perspective?
Yeah, one perspective. There's a word I'm looking for. Well, let's stick to perspective for now, yeah. As a sort of like one perspective. And I think you've noticed when Elson comes in, he asks things that I wasn't thinking, and we sort of complement each other. It's more like a good cop, bad cop thing.
Yeah, he comes in like an analyst. I just want to find out, is he Zambian? Because the accent is not very native. So I think a lot of us are kind of like curious. Like, I'm thinking he's South African.
He's a well-traveled guy. That's all I can tell you. Well-traveled guy. He's lived in Belgium before, the UK, if I'm not mistaken, South Africa, Zimbabwe, in the States as well. He's a well-traveled guy, so I know you can't place his accent anywhere. It's something he's been picking up from the places he lived. But he was in Europe for the longest time, yeah.
Okay.
The longest time, yeah.
He does bring a nice flavor to the show as well. I was just wondering, because a lot of people think you can hold your own. So we're just wondering to say, okay, but now it makes sense.
Yeah, I needed another perspective, and I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think it's good. It's good for the show. It's nice to bring in broader perspectives from different angles, and I think he's always not shy to ask the questions that maybe you think might be a little bit too touchy. He doesn't hold anything back. So I think it's good for the show, honestly speaking. I mean, I enjoy it, honestly. And I'm looking forward to catching more shows. Yeah. So what do you have for us, in the future? Because obviously you're going to bring it.
Yeah. Well, just to finish off the last, I've lost my line of thought now. What was I saying? We're talking about Elson.
Yeah. Yes, and by the way, before you continue, Kplus, have you noticed that Joanne said you changed the game? And it's very funny because your initial tagline at your FM was the name that came to change the game.
Yeah.
So using the power of manifestation, you actually manifested it, and people are able to pinpoint it in 2022. And you started that way back in the day, 2008. So I don't know whether Joanne, have you heard Kplus from way back in the day in 2008?
No.
Oh, that's very ironic.
I think I just
got ironic. How ironic. So Kplus, you did change the game.
Joanne, speaking of accents, I can't even place you. Your surname is Mobiana. Are you Zambian or are you married to a Zambian man?
Oh my gosh. I'm a Lozi girl, born and bred in Lusaka, but I currently live in Johannesburg. Yeah.
There we go. I couldn't place your accent as well. So, yeah. So, anywho, I hope that answers the question of Elson, brilliant guy. That's my brother from another. We've known each other like a month and a half, but we became old friends in a day. Yeah, we became old friends in a day. And yeah. So, what does the podcast hold? We've been having a lot of planning meetings as to what direction to take this now. Like when we started it out, I wasn't alone. Well, day one, yes, I was alone, but I quickly, called the team. I was like, guys, I can't do this alone. And I called in a few friends to help out. There's Martin, there's Abigail, there's Lloyd. And we put this thing together. Now we're thinking, okay, we do say in the intro, like if you watch the podcast, in the intro we say we talk to movers and shakers, we discuss interesting topics. Like on Tuesday, this week's Tuesday, we have we're discussing quite an interesting topic actually, and that's money, alcohol, and sex in the church with Pastor Jimmy K. Yeah. So it's not just going to be about bringing celebrities in. We're also going to have topics discussed that we feel, are not being touched on a lot by, TV and radio. And so eventually we are going to branch out into more podcasts than just that Zed podcast. We're going to have more. And I remember I've gotten back to my train of thought and why Elson came in. There are certain things I can't say because I don't know if you've been listening to the whole thing. So me being a radio station owner restricts me from some things, and Elson is not restricted because he's not where I am. You know what I mean?
I see what you're doing there. I get it.
You need a wild card. So no.
Exactly. Yeah, there are things I can't say which Elson can. So we complement each other like that. Yeah.
Right. And talking about the Zed podcast, right? Obviously, you have dealt with very controversial topics and controversial guests as well. Yeah. So what's your main objective when it comes to finding these guests? Like, let's say, for example, Bowman Lusambo and Iris. Obviously, Iris hasn't done anything controversial as in recently. Mutale Mwanza. So how do you get to select your guests?
I'll be very honest with you. We are not even doing exactly what we planned out for the podcast. Like I was telling Joanne just a second ago, we want to have more topical discussions. But then again, how do you shine a light on a thing like a podcast in Zambia?
Exactly.
You bring in familiar faces first.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Bring in familiar faces first. We get a bit of that attention, and then we start doing what's in the business plan that we've set up for our future. And I think we've sort of succeeded in, casting a light on this. That's Zed podcast. We've brought in the attention, and we'll sort of start doing this thing 2-tier now. This week we have a celebrity guest. The following week we have somebody who's not so celebrity, but we're discussing an interesting topic. It could be in business, it could be in finance, banking. And the following week we'll be, we're still bringing our controversial, people to, still keep the light shining on that Zed podcast. So it's a strategic move that we made in the first 10 episodes of that Zed podcast.
Right, and it is working. It's very successful at this particular moment. Yeah. So, Brother Jason, you can chime in. I know you have contributions and questions for Kplus. So, Brother Jason, kindly unmute yourself, then give us your contributions. I don't know whether Brother Jason is able to hear us.
Hello, Brother Muna.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, evening to you. Thank you so much to have me in. Brother, is he Kplus?
Yes, boss.
Yeah, it's my first time seeing this guy, but he sounds to be an excellent guy, a brilliant guy. Yeah, I was just watching in the background from the time you started, actually. You know, I'm just happy of the way you have come out to clear some errors, actually, which has been into existence on our motherland, Zambia, because there is a misdescription of what education is. And I'm sure you gave a very clear, simple description of what education is supposed to mean. It's simply, you just have to be enlightened. And, you know, I'm so happy for you to be confident of actually your gift, your talent, and also that faith in you, which you add, which you notice from the very early stage that you can do it without actually a paper qualification. I'm sure Brother Muna knows me better than you, my brother. K what?
Kplus.
Yeah, Kplus. Yes. I'm a teacher by profession, but you know, I felt it was not working for me. I just worked for some 11 months in government. I said, Hello International School, just for like a contract of 2 years. And in 2014, I decided I need to follow my passion, which is an entrepreneur. You know, I'm into buying and selling. Okay, that's Zed Podcast.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so one thing I would also want to add from what you have been discussing, you guys, you know, it is important to understand that if you are to be successful in this life, and if you are to be influential in this life, you always need to identify what you are capable of doing, because that uniqueness in you, actually, that will command the attention of many. But unlike what we have in Zambia is when somebody starts running an MTN booth, everyone would want to go there. You will never be noticed whatsoever. So it is important that you discover this is what I'm capable of doing. And out of that, I'm sure that's where you'll be able to command that attention. That's where you'll be able actually even to command the attention of the kings and queens. Because look at yourself, Kplus. You are just that unique. I don't know if you are a DJ or what, but you sound to be so unique. Even if I've met you for the very first time, the likes of my brother Munalula there, I'm sure, Brother Munalula, you've met actually one I can call a mentor, because if I look at your line of thoughts, we've been talking in the background, and I'm sure you are able to get a free consultation from Kplus, yeah? And at the end of the day, if you package that ideas so well, you discover that Zed Corner will be something else at the end of the day. It will be one of the influential, actually, social media platform, as it is actually. It is unfolded so well. So what I can say from my business perspective is, if you are to make that impact in a society, you have to identify the unique you. You have to identify your own anointing, because each and every one of us has got that special gift, which Mnalula, like myself, I'm into buying and selling, and I'm into a lot of things, you know, gardening, landscaping, and the like, you know. So if I say, let me become like Brother Munalua, then it will mean it will never work for me. Let me become like Brother Kplus, it will never work for me. So that's the challenge which we have in Zambia. We are some sort of copycatting entrepreneurs, and we discover that in the end, we flood the markets, and we even kill the business at the end of the day. Talk of this to my MTN boots, Brother Kplus. You have seen how they have mushroomed, and the commissions, they are not even making sense currently, but look at where you are. How many competitors do you have of people who are running those podcasts that you are running? It's few, the likes of Mutale Mwanza and the like. So it is all about identifying the real you and put that real you into perspective so that other people are able to benefit. You are able to shine that light if you willingly save that unique talent within yourself. I think I'm very much encouraged. You have given me confidence. Like you have been saying, it is not all about having those paper qualifications. It's about just being exposed to certain information in line actually with the God-given talent. Because, you might have a talent, but if you are not exposed to certain information, if you are not exposed actually to how certain things are done, then it means your talent actually, it will be experiencing those challenges, and in the end you discover that you just die. You go back to the grave actually fully packaged the way you came. Actually the follower of Saint Mausman Loy. I don't know, you sound to be like one of actually the followers, Brother Kplus. I don't know if you've been yeah, I can read through your words, understanding the purpose, also being able to answer actually those 5 questions, Brother Kplus. You are able to understand what I mean.
Yeah,
so
very much.
It is all about defining yourself, understanding what you are capable of doing, and also polishing up on your talent. That's what can just make that unique individual in every person to be influential and to be able to command that attention. I think I submit for now. I just love this discussion. It is one of the best kind in itself. Thank you so much, brother. I don't know if you have other questions for me. I don't know.
Thanks, brother Jason. So anyway, getting back to Kplus, right? This is something which is also very important, because if you look at most African countries, we're mostly focusing on our mineral resources, and Zambia, we always talk about copper, etc. But there are untapped industries such as the entertainment industry, and we are seeing a lot of countries like Nigeria actually getting to really benefit and maximize off of our culture. Because if you look at the mines, right, it's a little bit hard for us to bypass what all these rich, influential people, have set up. So it's very difficult for us to, let's say, take advantage of the mineral resources. However, our culture, our talents, those are things that we can easily package and make a whole lot of money. And I remember watching one of your episodes on the Zed podcast with Kazadi Films, right? Telling African stories, the film industries. So there are multiple ways that we can really get to monetize and package whatever gifts that we have and really make a lot of money. But we have to let the population know that it is possible. So this is one of the reasons why people like you, people like Kazadi Films, you are laying out the blueprint.
No, I actually like that you've brought up this point. You've mentioned countries like Nigeria. Let me bring it closer to home and mention a country that's our Siamese twin, and that's Zimbabwe.
Right.
And I like the fact that we now have somebody who's in the entertainment industry, in government now, in Kangwa Chileshe.
Yes. Yes.
Popularly known as Jason Cabanano. I don't know what it's called now in the popular TV shows now. It's nice that we have an actor who is now in the Ministry of Arts.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It makes
Right.
all the sense in the world to have such a guy in such a ministry. And this takes me to Zimbabwe, okay? And how the government has been helping the arts so much by incorporating their tourism campaign into the arts and the arts into tourism, sort of commingling the two, intertwining the two industries, because one pushes the other pushes the other. You know what I mean? Like in my music, I can talk about my country and people want to know more about my country. And then again, if the country markets my art as part of their tourism, people want to know more about my art and my country as well. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'll give an example of the Vic Falls Carnival, an event, possibly, arguably, the biggest event in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe. I attended that event as one of the DJs about 4 years ago now, 2017, and 5 years ago now. At this event, there were so many people, like the stadium was packed and, so much was going on. And there were people of all skin colors. And you talk to this person tells you, I came from the Netherlands. This person came from Australia. This person actually came in from Texas for this gig. And you start wondering, like, how did so many people from around the world find themselves at this event? And then you do have an investigation and you find that actually the Minister of Tourism really wants to market the Victoria Falls on the Zimbabwean side, and he's using music to do that. And they're bringing in so many people from around the world. I was told there were adverts as far as Australia, adverts in America, adverts in South America from Zimbabwe. The Minister of Tourism ensured that this was going on. And this event was heavily funded by the government. I would love a situation where the Zambian government sees music as a tool to promote tourism in this country the way Zimbabwe did. I don't know if the government's still funding that gig, but it would be nice to have such an event in Zambia as well that's heavily marketed around the world. And in the process, you market things like the Victoria Falls. Because in the Western world, a lot of people think the Victoria Falls is actually in Zimbabwe because of the way Zimbabwe has marketed it, especially through the arts. Especially through the arts, you know what I mean? So I hope Zambia can take such a direction as well.
Definitely. It's all about finding these unique avenues that are untapped, because so far in Zambia, we've been trying to use the same strategy. It hasn't been working, and it's probably not really going to yield the best results. But if you look at packaging our cultures, our talent in a very unique way and marketing it, it really opens up a lot of different business ventures. The filming industry is going to be booming. The people who are, performing these arts are going to be empowered. There's going to be the tourism sector also opening up as well. So I'm really glad that we are beginning to reach that level where we are beginning to mature with regards to the art industry, the entertainment industry. But we need some empowerment from the government as well. So people like Kazadi, people like you, I'm sure you've got your foot in the door, and you're going to be able to make these changes. So a different perspective needs to be given, and I'm so happy that we can be able to shine light on the different ways of monetization and being able to make some money.
That's so true, man. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to our government, especially. A lot of things like equipment that can help us in this industry is quite expensive. I recognize from the second you started this episode, I recognize the equipment you're using. From the microphone, I knew exactly what mix you're using, the Rodecaster Pro. To bring the equipment you're using to Zambia right now, it's going to cost me almost 20,000 kwacha.
I know.
You know what I mean? But you bought that equipment for like $500, right?
Exactly. Less than, $700 for everything.
Yeah, that's my point. But to bring that equipment to Zambia, there's all taxes, whatever duty I have to pay to bring that thing. So if we could have even, not in perpetuity, but maybe a time frame where they could allow us to bring in these things, even for free for a while, it would really help the industry, because there are a lot of people who want to do what you're doing, but they can't because they can't afford that Rodecaster Pro microphone you're using. I know the price of that microphone. I know the price of a keyboard. I know the price of a drum set. And a lot of people who have talent can't afford these things and they've got no access to these things. But if they were made a little more affordable for the common guy, I think it really helped the industry as well.
Definitely. So these are the topics and discussions that we need to be having. Even if you look at the cars, if you compare the cars in Zambia, I mean, you get to buy the shittiest cars from 2008, and they are costing as much as the price of a brand new car in Europe. So we need to look at the tax that we pay, import duty, and all that stuff. So these are the low-key things that can incentivize entrepreneurship. And of course, we need people like you who are exposed in this particular industry and be able to say, look, there could be a talented guy in Dundumwezi or Shangombo who has got the money. He's got $700 to bring in these equipments. But if you factor in all these import duties, taxes, and all these exorbitant fees, it becomes unbearable. So do something about that. Empower the people so that they can be able to buy and bring in all these different things at a much affordable price. So that is also very important. But we need people who are already exposed to this particular industry to bring those particular points. And just like you said, Kangwa Chileshe is part of the entertainment industry. He knows how the cookie crumbles. So if we are able to tell them and lobby for such things, maybe there's going to be more people venturing and creating movies, creating different businesses, empowering other people, etc.
That guy is exposed, and I really think he's going to do a lot for this industry. We've got confidence. And I really hope you tag him in this podcast, in this episode, That's Zed Corner, so that, he can really speak for us.
Definitely. Okay? And by the way, Sikfele Mnalula has just joined us. I don't really know, Sikfele, whether you can hear us because we're about to wind up. I can see everybody is trying to leave right now. So Sikfele, you can unmute yourself and then give us whatever contributions or questions for Kplus.
I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Watching this, I don't know if you can remember the jogs. I used to find you in Nkana is jogging. Remember that period?
Wow. Yeah. That was like 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're talking about the period when you moved back to mom's place, and I'm thinking,
I used to meet you.
Yeah, I have literally seen the man go through the most, just a quick summary. Kplus was, Kplus gave me my first shot in terms of radio presenting, though it was difficult at first, I had to learn the man's trust, but eventually I took over Kplus's show, which was the breakfast show on Pizza FM in Solwezi, and that's how my relationship with Kplus, has been, and just listening to a whole lot more in depth of what he has gone through to build what he has built. I have seen. I knew of CHETE before people knew of CHETE, and I have seen the process, and it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring. So I just hope I learn a lot from you, and I feel like exposure is very important, and just not exposure to things that are happening in the international world, but to the people as well. So, for example, like I said, Kplus, my former boss, and somebody that I would call a big brother, and then I'm exposed to Mnala as well, who's family to me. So I'm exposed to people who are more like, if you guys put together is a bomb in terms of, mindsets and all that thing, So I think a lot of people need to be exposed to individuals such as yourselves so that, they can be mentored and, we can easily see, imitate, adapt, and learn from your moves. So I think it's just all, claps and hats off for Kplus for the achievement that he has, made. There's so much that I can say, but I'll just leave it there.
Right. So thank you, Sikufele, for that particular contribution. So this is where we have to let Kplus go, because I can see, he needs to handle a whole lot of business. So Kplus, just give us your conclusive remarks. I know we could have touched a lot of things, but there's obviously going to be a next time. I really hope that you're going to give us another privilege to have another conversation with you. So yeah, this was a little bit rusty. We're trying to learn from the pros, but just give us your concluding remarks, and we can bid you farewell.
Concluding remarks. A whole lot is lined up in terms of what we're planning for that Zed podcast. So please keep supporting us. We can only grow with your support. Every view, every listen. Remember also on various listening platforms. I don't know if it's in the way we registered ourselves on Spotify, but people in Zambia can't listen to us on Spotify. But everyone else abroad can. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Deezer, Anchor, Google Podcasts. I think we're on every podcast platform out there. And the one we're pushing the most is, of course, YouTube. Our YouTube channel is That's It Podcast. Special shout out to the team that's making all of this happen. Martin Chalabesa, Abigail Banda, there's Lloyd Capovelo, the man behind the lens. You guys are doing the most, man. Like, really, much love, much respect. So please keep supporting us. That's It Podcast. So much more coming up, so much more lined up with this podcast, topics, and more interesting people to talk to. And we should be going international in terms of our guests very, very soon. So keep your eyes on the That's It Podcast. It's been lovely. Mulala, thanks a lot for inviting me, man. Like, I've learned so much from you as well. Have a good evening. Where are you? Is it evening there as well?
Yes, but we don't drop the location, Pamija. To the Pacopa, big man.
Are you planning on saying things in the future that you need to?
No. I'm actually moving away from that direction. I'm just going to make everything pretty smooth and clean so that, with no bad blood with anybody.
Yeah, we're known for that in Zambia media. Creating bad blood. Right. We're known for that, yeah.
Right. But anyway, thank you very much. It was honestly a pleasure, and I was very, very excited to having had this conversation with you. So thank you very much. Have a great night. Take care.
All right, man.
Later.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was an amazing conversation with Kplus, Kalenga, Chambatu, and he's really a very solid guy, one of the most innovative Zambian people, and he's done a lot. And just like I told you, right, I have known of him since 2008, 2007, and it's amazing to have experienced his growth from afar, and everything that he has been able to achieve. So it's very motivating, and obviously he is setting an example for younger people like myself. And we know that it is possible with perseverance, with a positive attitude, and just being relentless. So this is something which is very, very good. So I really hope that you guys got a thing or two. And of course, you know how it is when you're not really talking about controversial topics. You know, causing a pandemonium. Obviously, the interaction and the engagement is going to be a little bit low, but this is where the aspect of balancing up the system is. So I'm sure Kplus did talk about this. So we need to motivate the youths. We need to give you this profound knowledge and information, and then we're going to be hitting you up with the controversial topics as well, because to addition so thank you very much for being part of Zed Corner. I really hope you guys got motivated, you got entertained, and all that good stuff. So one more time, big shout out to everybody that joined us on the panel. Big shout out to Brother Jason. Big shout out to Sister Moviana, Joanne. Big shout out to Sikfele as well. And to all the people that were commenting. I can see Mary Kingdom Changer. I mean, she's an OG. Mary always supports us on a daily basis, and she's always present. So big shout out to everybody that was able to tune in and be part of this amazing conversation. So Mary, Avena, Jen, and everybody, Willie, everybody, I do definitely see you. So thank you. Avena Davis, you guys are so amazing. You guys are so awesome. So thank you for being part of Zed Corner. We are going to be improving, and we will definitely keep on bringing a lot of different amazing guests, because we need to tell our stories. If we do not tell our stories, nobody's going to be able to tell our stories. And if Kplus is able to motivate other people saying, look, 5-7 years ago, I was dead broke. I didn't have any money to even get a loaf of bread. But look at me now. I've got 2 radio stations. I'm working on a whole lot of stuff. I'm sure people out there are going to get motivated. So this is what we need for Zambia. And it was very exciting and educational on my behalf. So thank you very much. I will talk to you a little bit later. And yeah. Have a very great night. Be awesome. Take care and God bless you.